Yeah, a very good evening and welcome to Terrace Talk. It's Ivan Hurley back in the hot seat after a couple of weeks away, and thanks very much to Tim Moynihan for covering in what was a busy couple of weeks on the GA calendar for both men's football, club football, inter-county football, hurling and everything else. So fair play to Tim for covering in over the last couple of weeks. But it's Ivan back with you again, healthy as ever, thank God, and we'll be with you until 8 o'clock this evening. Plenty coming up between now and then. Of course, we'll have the rundown of yesterday's big game between Kerry and Roscommon, all the talking points and everything that we're going with it afterwards. We'll also look back at the Kerry ladies. Of course, they started their 2026 campaign with an impressive victory over All-Ireland champions Dublin, away from home as well. Of course, our Kerry hurlers, they got off to a 5-star start to their league campaign, beating Derry comfortably enough in Celtic Park on Saturday as well. A great win and such a long way to travel. And our own producer Niamh Daly has won a lovely award at the LGFA Awards that were held in Dublin, plus another couple of Kerry winners that we'll be hearing from a little later on in the programme as well. As ever, if you want to get in touch with the programme, you can text or WhatsApp your views on any of the matches over the weekend or any sporting matters at all. 083 300 3300 is our text or WhatsApp number there. You can give Studio 1 a call to Niamh, 066 712 3666, or if you've maybe a longer form reason to get in touch with us, you might be far afield, you can email terracetalk@radiokerry.ie. But the Kingdom got their Alliance Football League Division 1 campaign off to a winning start over the Rossies Roscommon. 218 to 120 it finished in Fitzgerald Stadium in dramatic circumstances. We were treated to a fantastic last 60 seconds. Liam Brosnan, John Kennedy as ever in studio and ready to dissect the action. Lads, you're very welcome, and welcome back from myself after a couple of weeks away from me. Liam, I'll start with you, I suppose. Look, we'll talk about hooters and everything else as the day goes on, but overall, the first game of the league, especially at home, we often talk about winning your home league matches crucial to survival, number one in Division 1, and will set you on your way towards a potential league final, but winning your first one at home is always very important.
Yeah, Ivan, and I suppose, look, it's for you could say, for the neutral and for the supporter, it was a very entertaining game as well. Some great scores up and down the field at the start, even for the couple of days leading up to it. There was a lot of talk about Roscommon and what they'd be going to be missing with the Stokes town and with the senior. They were missing 9 altogether, I think, in total, and probably 9 starters we heard above in the press box as well. So that was so we were wondering what kind of a team would Roscommon have, but Jesus, they came out of the blocks at a fair rate of knots. No, but at times, I suppose, when we were looking at Kerry, they went 7 points up twice. So you'll be wondering, what happened there. Is it fitness? Is it your first day out to get things up and running again? But you got to give a lot of credit to Roscommon. They came out and they went at us and they made the game very enjoyable.
Yeah, and I think that was the most important thing, John, as well, that, it was a game that Kerry looked like maybe twice, one occasion in the first half, one occasion in the second half, that they probably had just about enough done, but there was no one in Fitzgerald Stadium heading home very lively because Roscommon kept coming back at them.
Yeah, they kept coming back, Ivan, and they showed great, like Liam said, down so many players. Look very organised under Mick O'Dowd, good level of fitness, and their full forward line, I suppose, Diarmuid Murta and Dara Craig, their kicking was unbelievable. Murta got 1-6, Craig got 9 points, and Colin in the other corner got a point, 116 from the full forward line. But I think it was refreshing to see them going at it. They didn't park the bus, even when Kerry went ahead. They stayed, they dug in, and they'll be happy with their performance in Fitzgerald Stadium despite losing, because there's quite a contingent to come back in, and it shows that there's quite a reserve of talent in Roscommon. And of course the finish, we spoke about it off air. A lot of the talk today has been not about the game. 3 or 4 incidents. The rules have come in certainly for a lot of debate, and that's always disappointing after the match. I think that when you're talking about something outside of the match, outside of the football that's played, but look, we'll dissect that during the programme.
Yeah, I was going to say we might talk about the performance, because it was a good performance from Kerry for the majority of Liam as well. You're looking at the likes of David Clifford. Kind of, we're only chatting off here that 1-8 is kind of almost a throwaway remark, is almost expected from David Clifford, which is kind of shocking really from our behalf. But another great performance from him. Tomas Kennedy, fantastic display as well. Obviously got the winning point, but took that goal very well, didn't he?
Yeah, he seems to be the new kid in the block. I was above in the McGrath Cup game in Clare, and you could see that night above he started full forward. The ball was sticking with him. They seem to have a kind of a thing as well, I suppose, going back to our great days with the Twin Towers. Now this diagonal ball heading towards himself or David now, so that we have a target in there. But Tomas, a young fella, and that'll do a world for his confidence as well now yesterday. Like he stuck that goal well. No, it was a high ball in, caught it inside, didn't have much room to play.
Looked like it was nearly gone out of play,
Looked like it was nearly gone out of play. We'll worry about the square ball thing after, but he put it into the back of the net. No, so he's going to be a huge addition inside in the full forward line beside David.
Yeah, it is great, John. You still see these footballers kind of coming through, and you look at even the midfield and Sean O'Brien and Liam Smith, sort of, these kind of players that aren't household names, I suppose, if you want to call it that, but are still able to kind of step up and perform. And for even Tomas Kennedy to score that point at the end, we'll take the hoot out of it. Just even the pressure under that was enormous on a young fella's shoulders, and well able for it. Oh,
it's great to see these lads coming in and getting game time, with the nucleus of your team with them. It's fantastic, and Tomas Kennedy did a great outing. He showed great potential. We saw it last year from his cameo appearances, and we know the ability he has. Saw it in the McGrath Cup, but I think yesterday, this is another step up. The goal was you'd be expecting David Clifford to get a goal similar to that. The fielding, the turn, and the finish,
tight space,
and the balance, the tight space, man marked, brilliant. Kicked a great score as well. But I thought the point of the finish, the ball in for Shawnee, it was one of those. It had to be won. A crowded goal mouth. Up he went, fielded. The height he went, I suppose, first of all, fielded the ball, and came down. Knew the time was nearly up, fisted it over the bar, and you could see the joy in everyone's faces. But fantastic, and I suppose a lot of people are talking today. It was a similar leap to Shawnee Welsh against Dublin, going back many years. From a standing position, it was excellent. Yeah. But it shows the potential he has. He's fitting in really well, and that augurs well for the future.
And the one line now, Ivan, I'd hate to be playing in now, and I think it proved in a lot of games yesterday, especially the Kerry game, is to be in the full back line. Because you look at the Kerry full forward line was a kick 214 between them out of the 218, and out of 120 you said, John, was a 116 the full forward line. So and you could see teams now are kind of they're looking at the game, and they're probably dissecting what Kerry did last year. The new rules, you need to have your lively forwards inside in that line, and I think that's the hard spot now for a full back line, because there's so much space in front of them, and the mentality of a good forward is to dip the shoulder and take him on, and you could see the Roscommon boys did that yesterday, and they got a lot of joy out of it.
Now you can change it up with David Clifford coming to the edge of the arc when you need a 2-pointer as well. Things can change up so quickly. Another man that we haven't mentioned, kind of that forward line, was Micheál Burns. Thought he had a fantastic first half. Seemed to take a small bit of a knock towards the end. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, John. He got taken off right towards the end. But another man who, again, kind of the league, you can kind of see a lot of these players maybe put up their hands for one of the forwards jerseys come championship as well. Yeah,
Micheál, he brings a great energy. His work rate, winning the dirty ball, can kick a score as well. Huge experience, and I suppose when we saw the team, the intent was there, and in every line you had quality. But Micheál, certainly, we were speaking about it off air. It's the first round of the league. Look who has to come back in. Our regulars. Look at the guys that showed up well during the campaigns in for Donegal and Gaeltacht and Ballymac, and they'll be getting their chance. It's really fantastic from Jack O'Connor's point of view, but you have to give him a chance, and he did yesterday. Killian Trant came on, and he did quite well as well when he came in, so that's all good. It's confidence, and the victory, I suppose the home games get the 2 points. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, and we kind of spoke about that, John, last year as well when we went through that kind of injury crisis. We were maybe looking at the bench more so and kind of saying there isn't a huge amount of experience maybe, or this fellow, that kind of way. So you're kind of looking maybe even at the lads in this 15 and the lads who came on, that in the latter stages of the championship anything can happen, anyone can get injured, it can be a bad week in training, whatever else, and these lads will be able to step up. So being able to see them in the opening round of the league and the couple of rounds, as I say, until the Donegal lads or the Gaeltacht lads or Ballymac come back in, that this is their chance to kind of prove themselves, and that I'll be able to do this job for you as well come maybe June or July.
Yeah, that's what it's about, getting the game time in competitive action, and looking at guys in positions that if something happens, as you rightly said, the condensed season, soft tissue injuries, 6 or 8 weeks out, you could be out of a championship campaign. So you have to have options, and I suppose there's one thing having them, but the players that are involved from last year will know that they got their chance when the opportunity came, and 'tis up to yourself to take the chance.
Yeah.
And certainly Jack did give him the chance, because his hands were tied, he had injuries, but he had the confidence in the boys that came in, and did they do a job? They did, and I think there's more of the same, and Tomas Kennedy certainly is one of those. His influence yesterday, the maturity he showed, and I think the confidence that the lads outside had in him in giving in the high ball, it shows that they know what he has.
He's able to do it in training, I suppose. Exactly. Another man who came in yesterday, we obviously see Shane Ryan in the number one, mainly Liam. Shane Murphy came in yesterday. Solid performance, 2 big saves. I know he got kind of caught for one kick out, trying to find someone. The ref gave the free in for the delayed kick out. But other than that, a good performance from Shane Murphy as well.
A decent enough solid performance. Like you said, the saves, I suppose, all in all, he probably had 5 very good saves, and one of them ended up as the goal, but he saved the first initial shot. But we always knew Shane stop shot is his game. Like he's like a cat around inside in the goals. The kickouts, I thought it was very good in the first half. The second half we struggled, whether that was the goalkeeper's fault or around the middle of the field, but we struggled to get our hands on the ball when Roscommon kind of pushed up on us, and even breaking ball and stuff like that. So that's something that I suppose Kerry will work on, and I suppose you have to remember as well, a lot of these guys, they need game time under their belt now again. I know people are kind of saying, sure, why did you play X, Y and Z? But these guys want to get on the field now again, because look, they're after a good old winter. A lot of them travel a lot of the world with the Sam,
and well deserved,
and well deserved, all Ireland champions. So now they want to get back into the nitty gritty of it. So I do think the likes of Shawnee Shea, Joe O'Connor, and all these guys, Jason Foley, they'll be getting better game by game by game. But as for Shane and goals, he didn't do a whole pile wrong for me. The only thing I found with Kerry yesterday, and myself and John were talking earlier about it, was that when we were bringing the ball out of the fence, I just thought we did very well when we went direct, but we seemed to have that thing of going lateral.
Yeah, and pass too much.
That just that one pass, exactly. No, too much. There was one instance, and I suppose, look, Liam Smith will learn from it. No, he won. I know, was it a marker or free? He won, but instead of looking forward, he looked sideways. No, I spotted it straight away. No, we need to look in. Get the ball, because every time we move the ball forward at pace, we cause trouble. But I just thought yesterday, especially in the second half, that we were kind of going lateral again, as we said, the old Kerry way.
Yeah.
No, and it doesn't suit us.
And when you do go laterally, you do kind of invite that pressure, and you could see coming from Roscommon on a couple of occasions, our full back line got put under kind of enormous pressure, be it from maybe a short kick out or a turnover, and we're kind of like that passing across the back line. You kind of see these Roscommon, just kind of puts the heart in your throat sort of a thing, of when you see the Roscommon lads kind of closing in, it could be 2-on-1 all of a sudden, right down by your own goal as well.
Exactly, and I suppose a lot of that could be down to fitness as well, and it's your first outing. How many times can you break a tackle? I suppose when you're 40 minutes deep into a game, you mightn't have the lungs to do it. So you'll be thinking, hopefully that'll come over time. But I'd like to see it when we get the ball out of defence, that we're going forward. And Roscommon did that in the second half. Every time they looked that little bit fitter as well. They might have that little bit more done than what we have. But every time Roscommon, they had the guy there, Dara Hinnigan, number 12. When he got the ball, he was like a rocket.
Yeah,
he just took off, and it was straight lines. There was no sideways or anything. It was
and
straight.
When they ran at us, they caused trouble.
They did,
yeah.
They caused trouble.
A very well organised side, John, Roscommon, to be fair, for kind of a newly promoted side, whatever else. Kind of looking at probably staying in the division is the most important thing for Roscommon. But you'd nearly see these kind of giving Connacht a very good crack again this year. They've been kind of there and thereabouts. But I suppose when you're in a province with Galway and Mayo, you're always going to maybe struggle in a semi-final or whatnot. But they'll be right there as well this year, won't they?
I tell you, they surprised a lot of people, ourselves included, yesterday. Being honest with you, when we saw the team sheet and who was missing, you said, look, you'll be winning this one comfortably. But they're very well organised. There's a name down there in the management team, Jason Sherlock. You know, their forwards played with a heads-up football yesterday.
Yeah.
They took like Liam said, when they needed to run, they ran. But they varied their game very well. And the potential of their full forward line, in the Smith and the 40, they have potential. You add in the Bridges guys and a few more to come back in, they'll be tough enough, you know. But I agree with Liam. I think they have a lot of work done. They were very sharp. They were probably match fit, you know, that bit fitter than Kerry, and you'd expect that at this time of the year. But, you know, they'll be happy going up the road yesterday evening.
Yeah. The main thing for the likes of Roscommon is, and you know, if you think back to the evening we met them inside Killarney in the championship, the likes of Damon Murta and Dara Craig, you know, they didn't do what they did yesterday, that day. You know, you need your inside forwards. And in these rules, clocking up those kind of scores. So the big thing for Roscommon is like Murta and Craig, they need to be doing what they did yesterday more often.
But Derek Craig was impressive yesterday, wasn't he? He racked up a good few scores.
Derek Craig was 9 points yesterday.
9 points, you know, against All-Ireland champions.
Yeah.
You'd take that home to Roscommon with you, wouldn't you?
But you need your inside forward line now doing that at this level. You know, so and any team that would have a dangerous inside forward line, you know, with the new rules, they're going to cause a lot of hassle.
Well worthy of their place in Division 1 though, all the same, aren't they?
They are, but Division 1's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
You know, there won't be a whole pile between.
Someone has to go down.
Someone has to go down. You look at it last year, so it'll probably be the same again this year.
Yeah, we were teetering on the edge last year. We'll go through kind of the games again, John, later on, and who we're going and travelling to and everything else. But I'm going to go back to the point I started on, that we often do say that here, that win your home games, pick up hopefully a win or two maybe on the road or a draw, whatever else, all of a sudden you're in contention for a final place. But you know, sticky in Division 1, as you said, it's so competitive. That is vitally important. And if that score at the end comes back to help us out in that towards the latter end of this division campaign, we'd be fairly happy. But sticking at Division 1 is crucial. But these home matches now that we've coming up are very important as well.
They're very important. Every game is important, I suppose, Ivan, but you're right, the home games are crucial. You look at last year, our last game, we could be in relegation trouble, or we could get to a final with depending on the results. That's what happened. You look at the games over the weekend, Donegal and Dublin. You know, the intensity, the pace. Donegal looked really in a good place. Galway and Mayo yesterday as well. You know, Armagh, Monaghan. There's no easy game there, so the home games have to be won. And, you know, we have a real test next weekend up in Ballyshannon against Donegal. They seem to have got a few players. Their level of fitness, they're moving really well, and you know,
their manager's a bit cranky.
He's a bit cranky, a bit of unfinished business maybe, but no, it's real. What preparation for the championship like this Division 1, and I think Division 2 is going to be similar, maybe a level below, but it's still going to be very difficult to come out of it. But I think Division 1, the level, if yesterday's a yardstick to go by, it's going to be one hell of a league in Division 1 this year, because I think that the Munster Championship, we need a good league, and we probably need to get to a league final.
The league has become this competition. It is sort of, you know, going back years ago, you kind of thinking the league is kind of it was almost sort of a challenge thing. You kind of got through it to playing kind of these kind of weaker sides, whatever, in the league. But now it's kind of full throttle. You're playing your best players from the start, and you know, you do go through the teams: Donegal, Galway, Dublin, Monaghan, Mayo, Armagh, and obviously ourselves in Roscommon. You know, that is sort of like, you could see any of those teams up against you in an All-Ireland semi-final or an All-Ireland quarter-final, you know, this early in the season. So you are testing yourself against the best, and it's great to see the league's kind of growing into this competition where, you know, every team is taking it extremely serious and everyone wants to get to the final, because before it was kind of a thing of, you know, maybe go away trying out players, and maybe the early stages it is for Kerry as well, but you know, results are important in this competition now.
They're huge, because I suppose, and especially since the split season as well, because the Munster campaign starts so quick, and then your All-Ireland is in July, so it's important to get high calibre games, and the league does offer that. And I think probably teams are looking at it as well and saying, Kerry as a yardstick. When Kerry win a National League, they always seem to go on and win Sam Maguire. You know, so it is definitely something to look at. But I would say the split season really has made the league a more competitive, because teams are kind of using it now to prepare for the championship. Because when you look at it, I think we were counting, it's a while back now, like Kerry realistically have only about 15 games. That's if you win everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. You know, which when you look at, like, for the amount of training that they do for the games, it's unbelievable. But like, if we win the Ireland, you'd probably have a max about 15 games.
Yeah.
Plus, when the league was over before, you had such a break between that and the championship.
You had, yeah.
It was nearly another pre-season. You could win
3 months now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and the gap between matches was big. Players will tell you playing matches what they want. So it's about having the level, and every game is vital. And to avoid the injuries, as you said, there's a lot of ifs in there, but it is about having the squad. And there's no better competition, I think, than the league. It has taken on a new impetus. Division 2 has taken on a different impetus, in that if you finish down at the bottom, you could lose out.
Yeah.
So that's how tight it is. Like, and every game, we saw it yesterday with Cork, 7 points down. What a comeback to win by point with Sherlock kicking 2-2-pointers.
The one good thing with the leagues, it's like our own county leagues, Ivan, you find your level.
Yeah,
you're
of course,
competitive at your level. Like, I always remember there a few years ago, we were going up to Sixth Cup game up the north. We stopped off in Louth and we met the Louth goalkeeper, and he told us they used to love the league because they were competitive and there was something there. There was a chance for silverware. Yeah. Whereas at that time, against Dublin Leinster Championship, they knew they weren't. You know, fellas were actually going to Australia when the championship started, whereas they were staying for the league. So the league, you do find your level, and you, whatever division you are, you're competitive.
Yeah, and I think actually, John, you said it at the top of the stairs there when we came in, that every game was close in the league this weekend. Like, there was no major runaway in the football league, and that just goes to show that you are playing at teams at your same level. Obviously, the rules have brought it on a good bit, but like when you are in that division, if you're Division 4, Division 1, you're playing teams. There might be one or two teams that are very strong, might have got relegated or whatever else, but all in all, you're playing teams that you should be up against, and that's probably where we've seen the advantage in the Tailteann Cup come in as well.
Yeah, I think so. And the leagues, in fairness, I'd agree with Liam, just like here in Kerry, you'll find your level, and certainly the level, the performances, you look at the scores yesterday coming through, how tight they were. They were in the balance right up to the end. A point or two in a lot of games. That's brilliant. And it's great for the spectators and the quality of the football in all the games that we saw. Looking at the snippets last night, some fantastic football. Yeah,
and the crowds that are out in the last weekend of January as well.
Great crowd there yesterday.
Well. Yeah, great crowd. Yeah, in Clare, I think it was just over 6,000. They said in the attendance. Felt like more, but a great crowd. And I think people are hungry for football again, aren't they? I think after, especially with Dingle and everything else, if you weren't a Dingle club person or Greater or Ballymac and you've been following that kind of story, everyone wanted to see football again. So great used to get back out. We'll talk football again, lads, after the break. Get your comments and views coming into us. 083 300 3300 on text or WhatsApp, or you can give a call 066 712 3666. No, so you're welcome back to Terrace Talk. Plenty of your comments coming in. Hi to all. Kerry, we're lucky to get over the line. David Clifford and Tomas Kennelly, I presume you mean Kennedy, were the two best players. The most seasoned players need to wake up a small bit. They're long enough in the green and gold jersey. They should bring back some of the Gaeltacht. They're off 3 weeks now, and put a bit of football in their legs. Donegal will hammer them next week. That's from Eilish in Tralee. I think Gaeltacht might get another couple of weeks break. It was a long enough campaign as well. Gaelic football is a competitive and physical sport, and handing the ball back to an opponent is somewhat alien to the sport. The punishment for not handing the ball back is somewhat disproportionate to the discretion. I believe that the offending team player with the ball should place the ball on the ground and move away, and not obstruct the opposition taking the free or hand the ball to the referee, as choosing an opposing player may not always be straightforward. Imagine a foul is committed in the half-back line where a player is injured. The free is taken from the place of the foul as the clock is stopped for the injured player, whereas a foul in the same position for not handing the ball back is moved 50 metres and possibly resulting in 2 points. Is that fair? Moving the ball forward 50 metres seems excessive, and consideration should be given to allowing only 1 point if the free for this discretion is scored, similar to a 45. In relation to the hooter, play should be allowed continue until the ball goes out of play for a maximum of 2 minutes called by the hooter, and that's from Sean de Bruyne in Fireys. Liam, probably two to dissect there. I think we were harshly dealt that blow with the handing the ball back yesterday. We've seen Kerry clubs use it to their advantage on their route to their All-Ireland wins as well. Is it one that we need to look at again from not even just a Kerry perspective, but just as a spectacle as a whole, just kind of handing the ball back? And I think the interpretation of the rule is kind of difficult at the moment as well.
It is, Ivan. Look, we've said it here. Jack O'Connor has said it from the word go. It is a rule that's going to cause trouble, and we saw it with the clubs. No, if the shoe wasn't at their foot, you'd be very disappointed with the way it turned out. Unfortunately, it worked out in the Kerry club's favour. Yeah. But Mike Breen was a typical example, and teams are going to look for it. You know, that fella from Roscommon knew what he was doing.
Exactly what he was doing.
And the referee was probably blindsided a small bit. And all he saw was the ball on the ground.
He's trying to get back to his position as well.
Everyone roaring. It's something that they'll have to go back and look at that rule. I'm amazed they didn't do it. When they changed the hooter rule, I couldn't understand why they couldn't look at that. Just drop the ball and walk away.
Yeah.
Handing the ball, because if I hand you the ball, there's two things that are going to happen. You are going to run into me and make it look as if I'm trying to stop you, or what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So automatically it's opening a can of worms, and it's hard for the referee as well, because teams are going to take advantage of it.
That's and that's kind of what I'm saying there as well about the interpretation of it. John, it is an awkward one, because I can kind of see why they brought the rule in, because it was kind of a case of, it used to start a bit of handbags. The player would hold on to a ball, he put it behind his back, he'd run away with it for a small bit or whatever. It did kind of delay the game. Now at 50 metres is probably a small bit harsh, but there probably was something needs to be done, maybe on a smaller scale, but it just seems the punishment kind of outweighs the sort of the foul or whatever else you want to call it. It seems like too harsh of a punishment for the thing committed.
It does, Ivan, and as you said, I'd agree, something had to be done, but I think handing it in the heat of battle, when there's a foul committed and you're expecting the player to hand the ball, you know, other players are working on this now. I think it was Diarmaid Murtagh that slapped the ball yesterday, and suddenly it was brought up. Brendan Cawley saw it, the ball on the ground, bring it up. It could have been crucial, the 2-pointer. I think maybe putting the ball on the ground, I'd agree with Jack O'Connor. He said it from day one. It's something that definitely needs to be looked at, because it's these can be game changers, to be fair.
Yeah.
And you know, I think they changed the hooter, and we'll talk about it again, but I thought that was adding to the excitement, the hooter system, because when the hooter went, if you were a point up, you couldn't, you had to ensure that you weren't going to give the ball away if you were in possession, and if you had possession, you were a point down. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it added to the excitement, whereas it's a bit of an anticlimax now when the hooter goes. It's over.
Yeah.
You could be on the attack and it goes, it's over. But certainly the handing the ball back, those two have to be looked at.
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't anticlimactic in Fitzgerald Stadium. The last 60 seconds were incredible. The app, it was like a championship game.
Yeah.
I kind of opted to stay away from the press box. Yesterday I went down to the Terrace just to be kind of mingling amongst people, and the atmosphere was just electric. And I get what you're saying, John. I think in probably every other game bar the one in Clarny, it did just kind of blow up when the team is in possession or whatever else. But right, we may as well dissect it, because the majority of the comments they're up on my screen here are about the hooter. My own view is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I didn't think it was broken. I think the hooter has brought in a fantastic kind of element of that, as John said, that kind of excitement. You think back to the All-Ireland final and Clifford's point before the 2-pointer just before half time, that sort of build up.
That's why they changed it.
Yeah.
No, it was that David Clifford, and it was because Donegal sat back and Kerry held on to the ball as long as they wanted it, and then we got a score out of it. And the big hoo-ha was about...
Well, what harm does that cause?
No harm whatsoever.
We're obviously going to be a small bit biased in the Kerry side, but so be it. If the game goes on for an extra 10 minutes, what's it doing? You know, you're playing within the rules.
Yeah, and they didn't look at it closely enough, to be honest, Ivan, because the guy on the clock... No, you go up, like we said, we'll dissect it. Right, there was 5 seconds left when Shawnee Shea kicked that in.
In the ground.
The ground, yeah. The TV was different, all right, but it's the clock in the ground that's the one. And when Shawnee kicked it, it was definitely in the air 4 seconds.
Oh, it hung up there for a long time.
If not longer, right? And then Tomas, an unmerciful kick, so he had to catch it, land, and punch. In 5 seconds, so I had to get from A to B and to C in 5 seconds. So the guy on the clock pressing the button, it's going to cause trouble. If that was an All-Ireland final or an All-Ireland semi-final, and you lose that way, wouldn't you be sore about it?
I'll ask you a question now. Does the referee have his own stopwatch that he stops on his wrist and starts again, or is he completely now relying on the clock that's on the?
No, I think some referees, I'd say they probably would have their own.
But how then would that change when the hooter's going to go off? Because the person who's ready to press the button on the hooter, unless he's talking directly to the ref.
So what I'm seeing now is that the referee is talking to the guy on the clock as well. So the clock is kind of the fourth official. And it's time on, time off. That's all you hear. I started above the ladies now soccer as well.
It's interesting to notice.
Time on, time off. But sure, by the time he says time on, the ball's in it's in the air. It's not. No, it's different to basketball and stuff like that, where it's quick finger tap and everything's close to you.
Yeah.
But football, it's such a vast ground you have to cover. By the time the referee says time on, and it gets all the way to the sideline, and by the time the fella presses the button, it could be another 4 or 5 seconds.
Because I was reading social media now. Again, social media is the worst place to be reading things. But I was reading things today saying that, to Kerry, operator the scoreboard in Fitzgerald Stadium, whoever has the buttons for the score, that's always been a Kerry person. It's someone inside in Fitzgerald Stadium, as it would be if it would be a Roscommon person in Hyde Park, as it would be
exactly.
Dublin person in Croke Park, but
beside him.
So you're kind of saying, in rugby, and I think this is probably, and I think the same happens in basketball, Liam, but I've often seen it in a rugby match, in Heineken Cup, whatever else, John, it's the case of the referee will say, the clock in the stadium is wrong, it's 5 seconds ahead of my clock, reset that and we'll start the game. Again, you've got big screens, you're talking, Sky Sports, different probably level, but can we really, allow us to be in that situation where we're not at that stage of, technology and big screens, whatever else, in these county grounds, and that, it's open to interpretation, and that's why we're able, if we had an exact definitive answer today, it wouldn't even be up for discussion.
No, I think, Ivan, that you look at the rugby, when the clock goes into red, you know that the ball is in play until it goes out of play.
Yeah, correct.
And that's defined.
Black and white.
It's black and white.
And
then you look at the Gaelic football. We knew that when the hooter went, the next time it went out of play, the game was over. If you were a point down, you had the opportunity to level it or get a 2-pointer or get a goal. Yeah. And if you were a point up, you could kick it out over the sideline.
And that's the value of the hooter.
And that's the value of it. And listening to Eamon Fitzmaurice last night, and you have to say, Eamon's part of a committee that did a brilliant job. The rules have changed Gaelic football.
100%.
No question. There's 2 little tweaks, I think. I think the hand with the ball, and that has been said from day one, and then the hooter. But Jack O'Connor and other managers came out at the end of the year when they said, the handing the ball back was the one. Eamon said last night that it went to Congress and there was a 90-something majority or whatever.
Yeah.
But are the people voting, having come back from the counties with instructions to vote?
Yeah.
Or that's
who voted.
Who voted? That's what it's about. And I think that, as a football man, and you look at any sport, we're all sports people, you don't want anything to be, you want it to be black and white. The hooter should go. The next time it goes out of play, it's over. That's it. And I think handing the ball back has to be looked at. Is it dropping the ball down or whatever? Because players are going, I think players will be coached now to run at the guy that has the ball.
That's what you do, yeah.
So, I mean, it's very simple. Yeah. So it's brought up, and suddenly it's a kick-over score. Yeah.
It almost felt like it was a tactic from Roscommon yesterday when they did win that one. Was it Mike Bringa fault? He was handing
the ball out. The next thing was slapped from behind.
A slap from behind.
Yeah,
so
yeah. But even the hooter one there, even that rule, you need technology.
This is
we don't have the technology. Well, we have the technology, but we're not using it. So why do you bring in a rule where you need technology? It's in basketball, it's in VAR and soccer, the whole lot. We don't have it in the GA, so we're going to have
kind of a step ahead of us.
So that point yesterday by Tomas Kennedy will probably open a lot of can of worms with the whole thing, because you should be able to go to the screen. If that happened in basketball or whatever, they were going to a screen to check it, to see, did the hooter go, did he leave the hand before? But yesterday there was nothing. So it's tough on the referee, because the referee can't be watching what's happening, can't be watching the clock, he can't be watching everything. And I suppose it goes back to our point again, where maybe you need a couple of more officials on the field to keep an eye on the whole thing. Because even Mike Breen's thing yesterday, if there was another official there, he probably would have seen that the tactic came from behind, that kind of. But one referee can't see everything.
What did Mike Breen do wrong? He had the ball out in his hand.
Yeah.
Murtagh thinking fast, flicked the ball away from him. Yeah. Suddenly the referee
wrote the referee down.
But the second the referee turns his back, he has to run whatever it was, 20-30 yards to get in his position for when the original free was due to be taken. It's impossible.
And Brendan Cawley is one of the top referees, to be fair to him now.
Yeah. You have to get in position as well. The referee can't just stay outside there where the ball is or whatever else. So,
but can this be revisited now? That's a question I was asked today.
Well, they said last night that the FRC were disbanded.
Yeah.
You know, but can they go back and
I presume there's some sort of a way of kind of going to like one of these emergency congresses or whatever else you want to call it, and kind of you know, the rules were first brought in on a trial basis last year, and then they kind of after the league they tweaked a couple of them and everything else, and then as I saw these couple of tweets, there's surely some process of where they can kind of come in and say, lads, that didn't work in the league, the hooter, we have to change it back to what it was. There has to be some sort of thing, you'd imagine. Now the other part two of this in our dissection was the ball out of Tomas Kennedy's hands before the hooter went, regardless of when the hooter started or not. There's people playing back in ultra slow motion, waiting for the hooter to go. It was mighty close. And I can see why Roscommon supporters would have been aggrieved. We talked to a few of them coming out of Fitzgerald Stadium, and you know, you could see it in them. You know, they felt like they probably should have won the game. They were saying that they were delighted to get a draw, and then they were beaten at the very, very last second. It's very hard. It's very, even to the naked eye, it's very hard to judge.
It's very hard to judge, and that's why I'm saying, like, we have a rule where we need technology, even though we're not allowed to use the technology. So they might have to revisit that, because
what was more straightforward, I think, is it was a square ball for Tomas Kennedy's goal.
And it wasn't spotted yet.
And you needed no technology for this. You have no umpires. He was. I looked at it last night a number of times. He was over and back the in line looking to see. And Tomas Kennedy was inside. It was a superb finish. We're not talking about the finish.
Yeah.
He was inside the square. It was a free out. That's what it was.
Yeah.
If the shoe was on the other foot, your phones would be hopping tonight, and rightly so.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be fair and balanced about it. But there's no excuse for this. You have two officials standing a metre away from the player, man inside in the square. It should be free out.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah. Is it almost a case, Liam, and you know, you're not trying to play, but with new rules and old rules and black cards and yellow cards, is it nearly a case of where the referee nearly has too much to be worried, like too much to be like it's literally impossible to think of everything, like, you know, you think about everything you do in just a day life in your own job, like you'll forget one little thing, you'll forget to call this fella, you didn't send that text message, like you go on a referee, there's so much going on, you're the heat of the moment, you're on national television, you're on national radio, everything there, you know, and everyone is looking for your mistake, and like we said, look, the square ball openly, it was a square ball, it should have been a free out, but is there nearly so much now on just one referee? I know you've got your linesmen, your umpires and everything else, but there's one man making the decision, and he's the man we're talking about this evening. Is there nearly too much on him now?
It is. There is, yeah. We have said it here with a good bit, and teams, Ivan, are getting bigger, stronger, fitter, and especially now with the new
rules. It's almost professional sport now, isn't it? And
the new rules now have really speed up the game. No, they're on about, you hear managers saying that players can't, at the pace of the game, players can't last the whole game. But we're expecting a referee to be out in the middle of the field to make the right decision at the right time and every time. And probably 1,000 rules inside in his head. It's very hard. Like, plus, and I'm saying it with years, we have two linesmen who are official, who are referees, who are top referees as well. Pull one of them off the sideline and give them a half each. With every sport that's out there, nearly have two referees now. Some of them have three referees, but yet we have probably one of the fastest, bar the hurling, we have one of the fastest sports in the world, and we have one fella, and then we're crucifying the one fella because he makes, like, we're talking about the 3 or 4 bad mistakes that he made yesterday. He probably blew the whistle 100 times, but we're talking about 3 or 4 of them. Yeah. No, so because they were at major times. They were at critical times. Yeah. No, so it's, and you can see even before we got the score for Shawnee Shea's kick, Roscommon could feel aggrieved there, like, because there was probably 2 fouls on the Roscommon men. But see, in the heat of the moment and the crowd and everything, he left to try to leave it play, and next day he gave Kerry a free. You could see why Roscommon were disappointed and a bit angry leaving that yesterday, because Roscommon are trying to stay in the division.
Beat the All-Ireland champions.
To come away with a point yesterday would be nearly as good as a win. Not a mind coming away with a win. So they would have been very disappointed inside the dressing rooms yesterday after that match. Yeah, and their supporters were disappointed as well, to be completely honest. Big Roscommon crowd came down, actually. They were in Killarney on Saturday night as well. They really kind of embraced the occasion, which is great to see. Hi, Ivan, welcome back. They should have left the hooter the same as it was last year. There was nothing wrong with it. Just imagine if an All-Ireland final finishes like Kerry Roscommon yesterday. I hope John and Breda have tried off. I will be chatting to Breda in the second hour. They got an awful dose. That's from Charles. Thank you for that, Charles. Hi, Ivan, what's the story with this hooter? Will there be an operation for every club game in Kerry for the coming season?
I think we're still at that stage of where we're obviously on about technology and everything else, but it is an expensive bit of kit to install as well. It is just in county grounds, so I don't think it'll apply to any club games again this year.
It's in county grounds, and I suppose, look, the referee will have to be mic'd up to someone on the sideline too, so there are many county league matches where it can be mic'd up to someone on the sideline, so you can imagine now. Yesterday, the fella, if it were in Curra, the fella pressing the button would be slow at pressing the button.
Yeah,
or an
it was against Fires or something else.
If there was 5 seconds left, could end up 15 seconds.
Yeah, forget to start it off. Lads, we have to go to another break. The comments are flying in 083 300 3300, or you can call 066 712 3666. Now you're welcome back to Terrace Talk. Plenty more of your comments to get to. The bonus was the 2 points and the encouraging display by Looney and more so Kennedy. In general, our passing was not to the receiver's advantage, meaning we were bottled up and isolated with no outlet option, understandably. This is down to January and lack of ball sharpness work. Alarmingly, Clegg and Casey scored 115 against Foley and Casey respectively. However, my panel question is, at this stage, Shane Murphy will not challenge Shane Ryan. Should Jack have a look at the likes of Broderick for you're saying the Roscommon game, but I presume that means for Donegal? Well, we are lucky enough to have a kind of a good glut of goalkeepers in the county, Liam, and to be fair, everyone deserves a chance, and it is the hardest jersey to get to number one, isn't it?
Yeah, and you could see Sean Broderick getting the game, because I see him above in the McGrath Cup match against Clare, and his kick-outs, everything were... No, you're stepping up every time you go from McGrath Cup up to National League. So it'll be interesting to see the likes of Sean. Will he get? And I think Jack has been fairly fair with goalkeepers in the last number of years. Look, Shane Ryan's our number one. Without a doubt. No, he's our all-star goalkeeper. The jersey is his for up, and it's up to these fellas to put the pressure on him.
Yeah.
But I would no, Sean Broderick. I think Jack will throw him in just in the league just to see what he's like. And look, Shane, like I said at the start, Shane didn't do a whole pile wrong yesterday. But at the same time, it was just the kick-outs in the second half worried me a small bit, because they were that a bit slower, and you could blame the midfield, you could blame the guys outside not looking for it as well.
Yeah.
You can't, not all down to the goalkeeper. But look, our first outing, so you'll be hoping that as game goes on, things will improve.
Well, it's always important to have kind of 2 or 3. You definitely want 3 keepers in with your panel for the year, because any given injury you need a sub goalkeeper as well. So the more game time, and again, probably the early stage of the league, probably the time to give it to them. Carry up by 7 points, lucky to win it. That's one thing we didn't touch on, John, actually, was at 2 stages, we think it was either 7-6 or 7-7 for one of the first half, one of the second half. Letting Roscommon right back into it. Again, early days, it's the first game. We won't criticise too much, but it is something we want to look at, especially when you're playing, the teams that are likely to be more close to the top of the Division 1 table as well, that giving them that much time to come back in when a game should technically be dead and buried.
Yeah, we were on top, Ivan, and we let them back in, and against better teams you'll be under pressure. But look, it's the first round of the league, let's not forget that. Futile mistakes made, and as we said previously, the 2 boys in the full forward line, when they got the ball, they were lethal. And they were down in maybe Mark Boyd did in Casey and Jason Foley, but the space they got and the kicking, a couple of 2-pointers in there, but it's an area they look at. I wouldn't get worried about it, really.
No.
It's only the first game of the league, and you learn, you're playing new players, and if they make mistakes, there was fellas isolated yesterday at different times. I think Evan Looney was isolated once or twice. But that comes with games. Liam said about Liam Smith as well. If you don't make mistakes, you won't learn from them, and certainly, there was a lot of positives out of it. Great to see these lads getting games. Great to see lads coming on, and it's 2 points on the board, and you move on. This time last year, we were beaten in the first game.
Yeah. I just felt that when we went up to 7 points, the 2 times of the match, we started to kind of be safe, and we were kind of going lateral and just minding the ball more than doing what put us up to 7 points. Instead of going attacking, we were kind of going lateral. And I think, look, the Kerry management will, I think they'll tick that box for us. There'll be no fear there.
And we're back as well, the 2 pointers. Murty kicked 2 and Craig kicked 1, so that's 6 points on 3 shots.
Yeah.
Before a 6 or 7 point lead, but if you get a couple of 2 pointers, you're back in it.
It's kind of like the hurling sort of swing now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thumbs up to the Terrace Talk team. Have a good year. That's from Patrick and Clarney. Thanks a million for that one. Tomas Kennedy was standing on the end line when he jumped to catch the ball for his goal. Is that considered a square ball, Mr. Umpire?
If you're out of play, you can't come from outside in.
So you have to start inside the white line. So the same. Still, the next one then. Why in the name of God is there still a square ball rule? I don't think any of the new rules have changed to impact a square ball or not really. It's always kind of been there. I suppose it kind of protects the goalkeeper small bit, does-n't it?
It does, yeah. There's no one inside. It's like the soccer.
There's not a melee.
There's not a melee inside in there trying to block the goalkeeper. It gives the goalkeeper a bit of a chance to have a bit of room around him. Yeah.
Hi lads, would handing the ball to the referee solve the problem? I think we kind of mentioned that the referee is kind of once he gives a free, he's on the move.
Yeah, he'd be too far away.
He has to be on.
He delays the match because if the referee is 20 metres away, you just hand the ball.
Wait for him to go his 20 or 30 metres.
There's nothing wrong with dropping on the ground. And if he doesn't drop on the ground, then move it to 50 metres. But the handing at the back is the one,
definitely. Give linesman the power to call the referee if a player is giving the ball back and he is impeded from doing so. The free should be rescinded and thrown up. Given just my opinion for the panel, Ivan. Noel Broderick listening in Dublin, and then he was at the match yesterday as well. Yeah, like again, you're kind of, it depends again where the linesman is then as well, because he could be after running off. It is an awkward one, this kind of giving the ball back, and it happens behind the referee's back. Hard enough to kind of judge that. Last one for now. Who from Ballymac did lads think should get a run with Kerry in the league when they're back?
It's a good one, actually. Yeah.
It's a there's kind of a. You remind me talk maybe a junior over senior, intermediate, whatever else.
Big step up.
There's a big step up, but there's still decent footballers and young lads as well.
Yeah, like you will be looking in time to come, the likes of Jack Joy and McGivigan. No, Ty Brick, we know he's in with the hurlers.
He's in with the hurlers. Yeah,
these guys. Aidan Breen, I suppose, is a bit too old now for and too long in the tooth. Yeah. But they have a blend of young fellas. So you'd be probably looking at the likes of Jack Joy and
probably
and
the 20 set up. You'd imagine as well.
The 20 set up, yeah. And look, Donald Daly inside. And I think this is where this Kerry Junior competition has been an awful loss to us.
Yeah.
Because that's where these guys would be still on the radar. They'd be still playing Kerry Junior football. We'd be watching them and see could they make that step up. So like I said, there's a big difference between junior club football and playing with the county. So it's but they have the talent. Yeah, there is a couple of young fellas there that. Yeah.
I know with the soccer, the under 20 in the League of Ireland, you can play overage players in that. Could be one to look at maybe for a sort of under 23 style junior All-Ireland competition that we had before, but players that are over 23 can obviously play as well, maybe 4 or 5 players. Lads, we're down to the last 3 minutes, so very, very quickly. It's off to Donegal next Sunday. It's a mouth-watering prospect given everything else, and second round of the league. Iron out those couple of mistakes. It's going to be a belter, you'd imagine, in Ballyshannon. It
is, Ivan. I think the win yesterday, or if we didn't come away with the win yesterday, it would be an important match. But I think we have a free shot up here. I said it to John earlier. I'd be probably mining David Clifford up here now. No, you'll be trying a couple of fellas just to get it, instead of David. I'd be in other words, I'd be travelling without David if I was going, because I don't think there's any need to be taking David up to Donegal now, and especially up to Ballyshannon. No, let the young fellas up there, let them get a bit of a ground. You'll get a good grounding above Donegal, and but it'll be interesting. Donegal are going well, you could see they've the bit between their teeth.
All in all, though, John, the fixtures have been relatively kind to us this year for the long journeys. Obviously, with Tyrone getting relegated, we've only had to travel to Donegal and Armagh, the north. Obviously, Monaghan coming down to us, Mayo, Dublin, and Croke Park. So, all in all, the fixtures we've been dealt probably a nicer card than maybe other years, but way I put it. Not going to Pomeroy or anywhere like that.
Definitely, Ivan. Yeah, and we're it's easier anyway. The travelling is the killer for league games, but I think this Donegal game is a mouth-watering clash. In fairness, McGuinness is hurt from losing in All-Ireland final. You can see the body language of the players. You can see the fitness they're in, the shape they're in. Few new guys in there as well, playing well. Like Kerry, they were in total control against Dublin and kind of took their foot off the pedal. and allow Dublin back in. I'd say they allow Dublin back in more than Dublin upping it. So it'll be an interesting one. And I suppose what team Jack will put out will be interesting. I don't think he'll go with a weakened team. I think he'll be stronger again even.
So you bring David Clifford on the bus?
I bring David, yeah.
On the bus.
Give him 10 minutes at the end, maybe. Actually, speaking of David Clifford, and I'm actually sorry to the man, we didn't mention this earlier, the sideline, the point from the sideline. Joe used the word with Billy yesterday, and he said, he kind of, he's normalises brilliance, I think is the way Joe Manny put it yesterday. Couldn't agree more. Like that should be the talk today. Like, and we've mentioned the last 30 seconds.
I said it to one fella, Ivan. He said, "But sure, that's David Clifford." Like I said a super kick. But sure, that's David Clifford. Yeah. I mean, we've
just come to expect
that. Sums it up, doesn't it?
That kick, and even the 2-pointer kick, Ivan.
Yeah, and that was a
strikes.
Pressure one because Roscommon had just got the 2-pointers.
Like if John Kennedy kicked that, he'd get man of the match. Just that alone, like never mind.
Absolutely.
But when we needed it, and he knew we needed it, he kicked it.
Yeah, he did, of course. Lads, we have to go out for news. We'll keep on to you for the ladies' chat just after news at 7 o'clock. But that one's coming up next on Terrace Talk.